pressed. And welcome each and every one of you. Thank you for your patience. Sometimes it takes a little bit to press all the buttons to get everything working, but here we are now. It's all working. There is still a double up somewhere. I can hear a
because I
background
was
noise.
sharing it on another page.
Ah,
There you are. Okay, all off.
and today's theme, everyone, is responsibility. And in the old days, people, one could cringe when you heard this word, but it's actually a lot of fun and it's actually extremely freeing. So we're exploring the theme of responsibility today. And welcome to you as well, Tanya. It's wonderful to work with you in this way in our magical co-creation. I still can't believe that we've got this every month, because it is something that I so enjoy and I so looking forward to every month, because the energies that each participant, that everyone that participates, whether live now or whether you're watching or tuning in later, it is just such a beautiful, safe energy and such a beautiful safe space they create in these times of so much turmoil. And my name, for those that you don't know, is Alexis Sersha. I've got an unusual surname. It's not unusual in my country, but it does start a lot of conversations when I go to the bank or anywhere else. So that's why I haven't changed it. Over to you, dear Tanya.
Thank you very much, Alexis, for this beautiful co creation as well, and everyone that joins us each and every time. We were exchanging a few minutes ago together that it's just something that is so surreal. This connection that has developed without us having to do anything specific about it, so we don't have to sort of take up time in any way. And even, of course, that wouldn't be taking up time if we were having fun together or whatever, but that isn't even happening because we live across the planet. So Alexis is in Australia, I'm in Portugal, and yet even with us not having mostly hardly any interaction other than sometimes we exchange messages, we only had a meeting before the first Living in the Flow where we booked a Zoom session once or twice or so, and from then on, and we're already on to 13, we never even have a conversation, live conversation or anything. We just exchange messages. And but the thing is, this is such a natural, real, expansive, free co-creation that everything just flows and falls into place of its own accord without any effort whatsoever. So it's been a year, a little bit over a year. It seems impossible that it's been a year already. I mean, it's like we started yesterday. It's been a year and we've had not one single misunderstanding at all. I mean, not at all, not even close to that. There's
And
always
there are
this
so many, and there's so
tune,
many little,
we're
yeah,
so in tune. There's so many
yeah.
similarities, so many things that we agree that we hadn't even spoken about. But yeah, it's just so pretty
Yeah,
evident, so to speak,
yeah. And
It's
you know,
incredible.
it's so many little things to have to organize when we do this, isn't it?
Yes.
Like technical things, so many decisions, so many
And it's
choices.
so simple, isn't it?
Yes, very simple,
Effortless.
effortless.
And we're both quite organized, so it doesn't take us much time to just prepare the next session. It's just like we have this session, then 2 or 3 days from now, you will see the thing is available for the next session, and it's just seamless. It's
Mm.
really a new earth experience through and through. And speaking of next month, we have
Yeah, yes.
a wonderful surprise. So
Mm.
we wanted to invite some very special people that have been very special in our own lives, and we're all very special. Actually, we're very special too. So some special people just like you who are right here listening and co-creating with us. So no more special than you and us. But anyway, that deserve a big round of applause for what they have provided for us on our journey. And we are so, so grateful that we really wanted to, because it was also as a result of much of what they share or has been shared through their creation, that we are where we are at right now, and that we can experience this new earth as we do. So they were also a very major part in that. So I'd like to announce, we would like to announce that Geoffrey Hoppe and Linda will be with us next month week, on the 30th of July.
As special guests. That's it. Yes. As special guests. And we don't have the details yet as to how it's going to pan out. So all of this will come closer to the date, but the technical things will be quite different next month. So there won't be any Zoom login. We will be using a different program, and it will be through YouTube. So you'll have to check the website where you'll have the link. There will be a video that will start when we go live. Streaming, yes, and you'll be posting on through your Facebook.
I will be posting through Facebook as well, so it will be on my InPassion coaching page as well, and both of us will also try and embed it into our website. So even if you just go to the Living in the Flow page in either of our websites, it will hopefully stream from there as well. So, but anyway, just easy.
Look out for all the details. All the details will be posted. We'll keep you posted. But Tanya and I, we are very excited, and it was really hard to keep this secret, wasn't it? It's like
we couldn't tell anyone. We've been on to this for about 3 months or so. But I mean, we couldn't reveal it before we had all the go ahead. And we're really happy because
we're really excited.
It's so beautiful to co-create. Live with precisely those who have provided the materials and all that for part. Of course, we have had other very relevant and special people in our lives, which we are for sure going to invite here as well as special guests. But these particular two people have been very, very key to everything that we share here. So
they've been such a big,
really wonderful.
They've been huge influence on both of our lives. They have assisted, they've created enormous amount of materials, that can assist for anyone, whether you're just starting or wherever you are, you can find things. So for those that don't know, they are the founders of the Crimson Circle. So we'll post more information, but they just have had such influence for us, and also for many people that join here.
The whole Crimson Circle staff has they created it in such an organized, beautiful way, and have chosen such beautiful people to be part of the whole organization, that everything is really a joy to be able to now share, to be in this space together.
And also we want to just thank each and every one of you for participating in, to continue to participate, to continue to donate, to continue to support our work, because like Tanya mentioned, it has been now for a year. And if you didn't mention that, I wouldn't even realize, because it does seem like we just started. And it's just been, for me too, a seamless creation, a wonderful exploration in working with someone else. I haven't before worked with anyone in such a long, sort of term way. And I must say, it's been really a wonderful experience for me as well. And I am Michael, and I also want to invite each and every one of you to share with us. If you want to post any comments on Facebook or on any of the social media of your experiences, because that too contributes to the whole show with what you are experiencing as you're logging in, as you're joining in, what you're experiencing in your life now, because so much is happening. And as you are aware, especially this week, a lot of people have taken on their suit of armor, have taken on their swords, because the battles are raging, the battles have started, especially in your country that is called United States, as you know, with the abortion and all of this. A lot of light workers, many people within the spiritual communities, many people who are the change makers, the change bringers, have taken on that, they have put on their armor, have suited up and are going into battle. And I would like to remind you, as one that you know, I've known so many battles. I've battled for centuries. I've battled in universes. And yet where did that get me? It got me a lot of battle experience, that is for sure. But it didn't give me the peace of mind. It didn't bring my own inner shadow. It didn't bring me any peace on the inside. It is only the integration then that brings you that peace. And I would like to remind you today to stand behind that short wall, to take a step back, to be in your peace even more than before, uncompromisingly, to step out of duality, because you know that whichever side you take on, if you're taking a side, you are contributing to that battle. You are continuing that battle. You're making that battle going on, because there's no sides that are right. It is the same coin, two different sides. You're battling yourself. So I would like to invite you again, if you're feeling roused, if you're feeling like you want to step into that battle, take a step back, take a few deep breaths, and look at what is inside you that you want to battle. What is inside you that is keeping you imprisoned? What is inside you that is keeping that wound alive, that keeps poking that wound that you carried for so long? And know that that wound will not heal through battle, because you will never win. You're battling yourself, and both sides are of equal power, of equal strength. You want to step out of that duality. You want to integrate the other side. You want to integrate and find it within you. Take that courage and find that other side within you. Face it, allow it, love it, accept it unconditionally, let it flow through you. And that's how you step out of the battle. That's how you heal that wounded heart. That's how you heal that separation, the battle between the most basic battle between the feminine and masculine. You're not gonna heal it in the battle. Step out, integrate, allow your wholeness to be you. And over to you, dear Tanya.
And that is precisely being responsible. Because you know, the energy that serves you, it is precious. And when you become responsible for your clear conscious choices in total integrity, and I've just had another live in Portuguese and integrity was the theme. When you become responsible in total integrity for each decision that you make, for each step that you take, for each pathway that you choose to go along, when you do take responsibility, that's when you realize what's really going on. That's when you realize, wait a minute, I'm feeling torn, I'm feeling battered, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling rageful, I'm feeling hatred, I'm feeling whatever it is that this situation or this person is bringing up in me. And then you realize it's not about them. It's not about the situation. It is about you taking responsibility. the ability to respond. And the ability to respond is not the ability to fight. We have come to believe in our journey as human beings that the ability to respond had a direct connotation with the ability to fight against. And this is the major distortion around the theme of responsibility. Because in fact, responsibility is precisely the opposite. It's the ability to come within, to connect with your presence, and to allow your presence to show you what it is that is battling within. And there, take responsibility for having created that battle in the first place, for having been the fertile ground for that battle to exist. And then you will decide with integrity how you are going to require energy to serve you. Because notice, it is totally incoherent to be in alignment with the greatness within you. The greatness within you that speaks the words of love, that only speaks that language. It speaks the language of love, and not the love that we think. And I'm not even going to go into that theme because we've been onto that theme of love. So anyway, just picking up on that greatness, you connect to it, and then you become clear, right? But if you are saying, oh, no, I am of the light. I am one of the light workers. I am the good guys. I'm from the good guys. I'm the one who knows what's right, who has the reason and knows which way humanity is supposed to be going, and all of this is supposed to be working this way and not that way, and so on and so forth. You are not being coherent, because coherence starts with integrity. And integrity starts with self-respect. And if you are not respecting the energy that you have set in motion to be this radiant one that you are, and then you're requiring the energy to serve you in a whole other way, going into battle, going into fighting against, going into denying, going into trying to whatever, you are tricking yourself, It's like you are being dishonest with yourself. And then you will find outside, in your outside reality, people who are dishonest with you and that trigger you because they're being dishonest and so on and so forth. But they only trigger you because you are not being honest with what you are telling energy to do for you. So on one hand, you're saying, all I want is to live in peaceful bliss, to find this peaceful bliss, to celebrate it, and to really experience it in my reality. I want to be this. Okay? So you've chosen that. Now, why are you not being that? Because you're not taking responsibility for that choice. You're not responding with your ability to be that. You are simply reacting to something that is triggering you and is asking you, do you really want that? That's the only thing. What everything else around you is doing is just asking this question. Is that what you really want? And that's where you are invited to be in integrity. Integrity is the most energy efficient thing there is. And if we were to be in integrity, all of us walking towards that, the problem with wasting energy. I mean, even in resources, energy resources, electricity, etc., it wouldn't even exist. That problem only exists because it's an invitation for us to look inside and see, am I being energy efficient? Am I taking responsibility for every thought, for every word, and for every action that I implement? Am I realizing the power, the strength that every single thought, every single word, and every single action of mine has? That is being responsible. Over to you, dear Alexis.
Yes, thank you, Tanya. You're beautifully explaining, and it's wonderful how we both, bring our own individual wisdom to this, because it all is, and we kind of demonstrate how we are different, how we are very different. Even, for example, if you look at our time, it's always nighttime at my place, it's always daytime at your place, and yet it is beautifully complementary. And this also has to do with other people and other people's opinions. And if you also look at the soul's perspective, so what happens is that when you are connected with your soul self, you get this overview, you get this soul's perspective, and you hear its song and you hear its wisdom. And also you can hear and understand the reasons why you are here on earth. You can see the big picture. For the big picture is not some kind of mystery. It is only a mystery. It is only unknown, because when that human part is disconnected from the bigger part of who you really are, and then there's no communication. Actually, there's always a communication from the soul, but the human self can't understand, can't hear. And so when you do step into this big overview, this responsibility has to do with coming, your soul self, you as a soul self, sending a part of you, a human part, into this physical reality, because it was this huge adventure. It was a big experience, and it also is a slowed down version as to what is happening, because you as a soul really wanted to see how you create reality. And so the responsibility is part of that, is part of this incredible realization that you are free, that you do create reality, and that you have this joy in creating, and that you have the responsibility in what and how you create. And within this realm of physicality, you really see the cause and effect. And it's not a cause and effect in a karma way, because once you release the karma, there is no karma, but it has to do with just you simply being the creator that you are. And in many ways, this can be a great joy, and in many ways, it can also suck. It can be a great, like a pain in the butt, until you actually are in that space, when you realize, okay, so when I am like this, when I radiate like this is what happens. Like Tanya so beautifully explained, this cause and effect. Because you are a creator, you cannot wait for someone else to change before your life changes. You need to integrate. You turn inside. You resolve the inner things. You see. You become very perceptive of your inner world, because that's where it all happens. That's where it happens first, and then the outside reality then reflects beautifully and perfectly and absolutely accurately who you are in that moment, what you are radiating in that moment. And if that is enjoyable, if you are in a place of joy, of course, it's wonderful to have this freedom, that you realize yourself as a creator. But if your reality is painful and it's suffering and you're stuck and you don't know how to get out of things, then being a creator is a curse, because very often humans trust outside things before they trust themselves. They think that someone else will come. They think the savior will come to save them. But the realization is that no, there won't be anyone to come to save you. Sure, life always gives you teachers, always gives you examples, always gives you help and support. Your soul is always there to help and support and guide you. But it is the responsibility of the human to accept that, to take time to go inward, to be, to listen, to understand, and then act on those things, and then change and integrate until you come into this place where you actually really realize, wow, I truly am a creator. And like Tanya described earlier, it's not that you have to know all that, you have to write all these lists and oh, I have to do this and this and this, and I have to know all the little ins and outs. It has to do with beingness, with radiance, with what you're allowing, what you're taking ownership of. And then life itself knows you intimately. It knows exactly what to create, even more that you would actually, if someone asks you what would you really love, you would list certain things, but then life brings you something and you realize, wow, I didn't even know I love this, and look, now here it is as a beautiful surprise. And if life didn't bring this to me, I wouldn't even know that I like this. And yet this kind of magical way of being, it is very real. Like there are some people still that think, okay, so these words like magic and all of this kind of stuff, you create your own reality, they're just fluffy words, they're just theory, but it is not true. And practically, I want to sort of say, for my own example, like I consider myself as a scientist of new energy. I explore and test and try and see how this works out, because there are no books. These things have never been done before. We are the ones writing books. We are testing. And also, in the words of our dear friend Tobias, who said long ago, explained being a teacher, what being a teacher of new energy means. It means that you're a person that goes and explores and experiences first, and then you experience, and you dive in deeply, and then you experience it, and then you come out and you can then perhaps share with others, with those that are willing to listen or that resonate. So that kind of the definition of teacher I love. I don't like the old way of, oh, there's a teacher and a student, because it kind of implies that someone is learning, but we each are teachers in our own way to each other. We each are equal to each other, because one has talent in this way, another has talent in another way. So that's why it's so beautiful when we interact. And then going back to that example of what we are talking about, I would like to share my COVID experience. I haven't really talked about it that much because I didn't want to rub salt on the wounds of so many people who have around the world experienced all these lockdowns and stuff. But when COVID first happened, for me, my soul song is sovereignty, is freedom, is the ability to do what I want to do, to live this incredible parallel life to mass consciousness. There is such a strong sense, such a strong flavor to this, and I can't even describe it. I can use few words to describe it, and the best would be sovereign way of being. And so when the COVID started, lockdowns and stuff are not part of my feeling of this incredible flavor of my soul. And so it didn't happen for me. I have not had any lockdowns where somehow I lived in a place, just happened to be in a place where I had the total in the 2 years of COVID, I had 3 days of very loose lockdown. I've had to wear mask under 20 times, and that was my choice. That's it. I didn't have any other COVID experience, no lockdowns, no prohibitions, no limitations. Actually, it worked really good for me because because there were no crowds. The nature was blossoming. Anywhere you went, it was just, I had the whole place to myself. It was quite incredible the last 2 years. And plus, with all the experiences that I've had on the inside, have actually been, I can say, two best years of my life. And so this is very different to the mass consciousness, to the majority of people that have experienced the way they've experienced the last 2 years. Very, very different. And so I've demonstrated, it surprised me, but I've demonstrated to myself that living a parallel life to the mass consciousness is very, very possible. It is effortless. It is not something I have to, in particular, do some mantras or anything. It is just that I have to allow my soul, the song of my soul, to flow through me, feel it, to flavor me, to be me. And that is what then radiates and creates my experience. And there is nothing, no virus, no nothing in the world that can actually then impinge on that. And actually, it's the other way around, that whatever's happening with the world, it is then working for me. Because all energy serves me. And this is very important now as mass consciousness and humanity go into these huge battles of black and white, of lightness and dark, when there's so much happening with monetary thing, with economy, with all these kind of things. It is so important for each one of you, for each one of us, to really own our stuff, to really own who we are, so that we can create parallel reality, so that we can be and live this paradise in the physical world, regardless of what is happening. And then, of course, create templates that then go into mass consciousness that other people can then connect with, and of course assist those who are open to us to be assisted with in any way we can. But it is not ours. There's no need to battle. There's no need to put an armor. There's no need to take on a sword, except for if you want to use that sword to cut through the bullshit. You see, so it really is possible, not only possible, but absolutely available now, to live a parallel life of incredible joy, of incredible self-love, of incredible freedom, regardless of what is happening with other people. Over to you, dear Tanya.
Thank you very much for that beautiful flow and example, because it's exactly like so. For me as well. And it's interesting because here there have been lockdowns here in Portugal, and we have had to wear masks for the last 2 years. Now it's over, but to go to the supermarket or to go to public places and so on. But irrespective of that, so even there being lockdowns and even all of that, it didn't it was like something was happening in a parallel reality that had absolutely no effect on my evolution, on my expansion. And just like you said, Alexis, for me too, these last 2 years have been of a miraculous, expansive quality. And always on my journey, since I have become aware of who I am and all of that, it has been like so that if something seems to be taken away, I always realize it is giving me something. So whenever something seems to be cut out, removed as a possibility, always and invariably I find the silver lining, because I don't go into conflict against what seems to be taken away. I just allow myself to responsibly, because I want to live this peace that I live, and I want to keep it, and I want to expand it as much as possible. And I have no idea what is possible, because it's never been done. So because I take responsibility for that, whenever something seems to be taken away, I just stay and allow whatever is being provided to show itself. And then it's incredible because the level of freedom that I have come to experience over the last 2 years has just grown and grown and grown. So while the rest of the world is experiencing constriction, restriction, I have been experiencing exactly the opposite. And yet I do live in a country where there have been lockdowns, where there has been a lot of controversy, where everything, and still in my own reality, that has not been happening at all. So it has not affected me economically, health-wise, in any way at all. So really, it's about this firm and clear decision. Where do I want to be at? What do I want to allow into my own life? And how do I want to experience it? Now, then again, that is a very loose thing because it has no specific formatted definition other than I choose bliss. I choose that for me. I choose bliss. I choose joy. I choose love. I choose that peace. I choose harmony. I do choose balance. I choose equanimity. I choose compassion. I choose these things. I consciously choose them for me. And there is no space for anything else when that choice is clear, conscious, and allowed. And this is what Adamus has been talking about over and over. Just allow, just allow. And some people just get into their head so much with this allowing. Oh my God, but I've been allowing. Why isn't it happening? And so on. Well, maybe you aren't allowing that much. Maybe you're fighting against yourself, And if you're fighting against yourself and thinking that you are somehow incapable, somehow must be doing it wrong, somehow it's just not happening for me because I am just not entitled or whatever, whatever beliefs are running in the background, those are the ones that are informing you that fuck, I'm allowing. Why isn't this happening? No, you're not allowing. Just be okay with that. You don't have a clue about what allowing means. None of us had. It's something that you experience. It's not something that you read in a book and has a clear definition and then you know what it means. No, not at all. You just stay with your integrity, responsible for what you're choosing for you, and then you realize what allowing means. And it just unfolds. It unfolds naturally as you allow. Okay, so there's no way to know what allowing looks like without actually allowing. It's the same thing as there's no way to know what it's like to be in this love affair with the one that you are. So, in other words, to experience this constant and continuous blend and merge with the divine essence that chose this experience in the first place, there's no way to know what it's gonna be like without taking that leap of faith, without jumping into it and letting it show itself, allowing. There is no way, because many people just stay on teetering, tottering on the edge of the abyss of the unknown for fear of not knowing what it's gonna be like. Well, you're never gonna know anyway. So just go ahead and jump, Go ahead and jump. Take responsibility for that jump. As soon as you take responsibility for that jump, the magic happens. You don't know what it's gonna be, but you've taken responsibility. You've realized that you're gonna take that jump no matter what. That is taking responsibility, you see? So you're not into knowing what the outcome is gonna be, what's gonna happen, if you're gonna just fall on the ground like an egg and just be all spread out there, bleh, just splattered there, and you're just no more existing in a physical body, whatever. It doesn't matter. You take the leap. You've taken responsibility because you've taken the leap irrespective of the consequences. Because deep down inside, you do know the consequences. You know that if you take that leap, only everything that you've ever dreamt of and sought for will happen. You know that. We all know that. That's an intrinsic knowingness that comes with us. Because we are that. That's why we know it. We know it because that's who we are. So, just trust. Taking responsibility is an act of trust. Trust that each new choice that you feel from your inner guidance is always and invariably leading you to your next level of expansive knowingness, awareness, experience, whatever it is. And taking responsibility can be so simple as, for instance, I'm going to give 2 or 3 just really silly examples of everyday life. Like, for instance, I had received a free night at a specific place, and I didn't realize that it was only it had a time frame, so it had only a year time frame to be used. And I received that thing because I had booked a place at that specific location, but they were gonna have some renewal work, and so then they offered me to go to another place because they have several of those places, and they still offered me a free night for me to use whenever I wanted. And so I didn't use it that time, and I went to another of their locations again another time, and I didn't use it, and so on. And I was like, yeah, well, then I'll use it. And now I was gonna look at it and use it, and realized it expired 4 months ago. And so I had 2 choices, right? Either beat up my head and say, oh my God, I didn't take the opportunity, I didn't receive that thing, how stupid could I be, whatever. Or assume, okay, doesn't really matter because I receive so much every single day that it's just, it's just like having the garden that I have, and there are zillions of flowers out there. And I can pick any one of them. And each one of them is fabulous and beautiful and graceful and full of light and full of everything, full of aroma, whatever. But I can also choose to leave it in the garden and just admire it when I go out and walk through the garden, and it just stays there. So the same thing with this thing that I didn't manage to use. Another example, some time ago, a friend of mine was calling me up saying she wanted to have some of my books with her because she wanted to sell them to her clients. She wanted to have them there handy and so on. And so she told me this a few times, and then I decided, okay, so I'm going to make an order because I didn't have enough books with me at the time. If you publish your own books, you have to get them printed and all of that stuff, So I got some printed, and I didn't ask her to take responsibility for what she was asking, to pay for the books to get to her home, or I paid for it. And then she only sold 2 or 3 books. And so it still hasn't even paid my postage. But I was looking at that and saying, yeah, good lesson, dear. You see, you're supposed to also invite others to take responsibility for whatever they're choosing. So if you then decide to go and take responsibility, then you have to assume it. Okay, I assume that for me it was a bad call because I am still in the red with the money I spent to send the books. I still haven't received it, even that. So but then you look at that and you say, yeah, well, okay, that was my responsibility because I didn't establish a clear boundary. And so boundaries are all this about this theme of responsibility. One of the big ones is set clear boundaries. But if you don't, if you forget, if you think it, I mean, if in that moment it's just a natural thing to you and you don't see it coming, take responsibility anyway that you didn't set a clear boundary and learn from it and realize it's okay. Okay, next time, now I know that here too I must set a clear boundary. Setting clear boundaries is not something, again, to beat ourselves up about, that we didn't, that we haven't, that we whatever. No, it's you learn as you go. You know, this whole reality here is so challenging when it comes to boundaries. So very challenging that you will slip up here and there. It's a natural thing. It will happen. And then you will take responsibility for that slip up and you will just shake the dust off and move on and be happy and grateful that you have that wisdom, that you have that compassion and that capacity to embrace yourself and whoever is involved in that without blaming, without finger pointing on yourself or on anyone else. That is an act of responsibility, because then you are not giving your energy to judgments, to unnecessary dramas, battles, whatever it is. See who's right, you should have done that and whatever, and doesn't matter, doesn't really matter. And that's also taking responsibility, is not beating yourself up every time things don't go the way supposedly you think they should have gone. And there are so many examples of this. I could go on and on with practical examples, small and big, about when it didn't really go the way you were expecting it to go. And then you really have to take responsibility.
Do you mean to say that not everything goes your way?
Precisely. There you are. And that, realizing that and accepting that things don't go your way, but that's not even an issue, because there is not your way. There's just the way things go. Once you get into that, and you're taking responsibility, because you realize, okay, I thought it was that way, but no, apparently it isn't, is it?
and actually there's just so much humor, so many mishaps.
Yes.
More mishaps happen now than they did before, and the reason is because you are just much more adventurous. Like I just go and do so many different things that in the old days I would not dare. And some of the things,
because you don't want to be silly, you don't want anyone, anyone watching you and seeing you fall on the ground and just breaking your face, and you don't care. You don't care.
And now it's also, if other people see, it doesn't really matter.
That's the point. It doesn't matter if other people see. Yes. If you're making the blunder and everyone is aware of it, it doesn't matter, because you're not feeling self-conscious in terms of battering yourself that you're doing something wrong. You're experiencing.
And other people, and each other person will think what they think. They will think their thoughts, and the negative people will keep doing the negative thing. And the people that are easygoing and they're self-loving, they will think self-loving things. It's not any reflection on you.
Let me share another funny story. Some days, so I hadn't grabbed my bike for about 5 months. because there are roadworks where I'm living, and so the road is all like the war
Oh
has
my
started
God,
around
here
here.
it is the same.
It's incredible. So all around here, all of the roads, and because I'm quite inexperienced
Yeah,
with
yeah,
my
yeah.
bike, is like I don't even feel like going onto that road and having to deal with the potholes and the dust and all of that stuff. So and the stones on the road and that. Anyway, I grabbed my bike because I needed to take it to the mechanic 2 or 3 days later. So I figured, let me just use it again to see if I can manage. And so I went down to the supermarket, and then when I came out, I came onto my bike, and then I wanted to put it on, but it wasn't. It just didn't go. Just didn't go, and I was like, oh gosh, what should I do? So I called the shop, which is where also the mechanic thing is. They've got both things. The shop where I bought the bike, the stand. And the guy asked me a few questions, and no, I'd done all of those things he asked. So, oh well, okay. So next thing, I'm calling the insurance company, the travel assistance thing. So then after the guy from the company said that they would take about 45 minutes, well, 10 minutes later the man came with the big car, right, to take the bike to the mechanic. And so he comes to the bike, okay, let me check this, and it starts working instantly. So what was it? I wasn't pressing the brake, which has to be pressed at the same time as you press ignition, which is like pretty obvious. And at home that hadn't happened because there's a bit of a ramp, so I was automatically pressing the brake anyway, and that's why it ignited immediately. So I didn't even remember, because it's like I'm so green. I didn't even remember that. And I just started laughing, and I was like, and this guy, he didn't make fun of me or anything. And I said, now you have a really funny story to tell your family when you get home for lunch today, because I mean, this is really ridiculous. And I was laughing my head off, not feeling one little bit ashamed or anything. But the thing is, and the funny thing is, this man, he was so kind, so loving, it was, oh, there's no big deal and so on. And then he even told me 2 or 3 stories as well. The thing is how loving and kind he was, that the whole environment was totally non-judgmental. And then later on, the guy from the stand called me, and I said, oh my God, are you sitting down? I just got the most hilarious story to tell you. And I told him what happened, and he said, oh, that was it. Oh, well, then that's great, because that means your motorbike is working really fine. And he was so nice, So what happens is, when you are not judging yourself and you're allowing yourself to go through the experiences and laugh about them and all of that, people around you will be kind, will be helpful, will be open-minded, and all of that. And this has happened to me several times, over and over again. Like if I need some help or something goes wrong, and someone immediately comes to help. Even yesterday, I went to buy some food for my chickens, and there's these big 30-kilo sacks. And so I went into the shop, I put them on the car, and when I was coming right to the cashier, there's this guy standing there who is part of the team, the help team, and he says, oh, this lady didn't ask for help. Would you like me to take this to the car for you? And so what happens is that, so I could have very well have taken it to the car and, I would have put it in the car and it would have worked out fine. The thing is, when we are open and not feeling that we're gonna make some sort of silly mistake or look silly or whatever, things just are provided for you. And then I arrived home, and because I'm having a pool built, the guys who were working there, they just came to the car because they were leaving, and I opened the boot and said, well, let me help you. So there again, I didn't need to carry anything. And it's just like this, life
Mm.
becomes as kind and open and loving and compassionate towards you as you are towards yourself. So
Yes, I
it's
agree.
constantly provided
Yeah.
in the same way in any situation, which doesn't mean, as I was explaining earlier, that we don't do some blunders
Mm.
and that those blunders don't teach us to establish clearer boundaries next time and things like that. That happens all the time. But
Mm.
it doesn't matter. Why? Because we're taking full responsibility for our actions. So,
Mm.
okay, this happened, it's a blunder, fine. Let's move on.
Mm.
We don't stay stuck
Mm.
in
Mm.
that moment in whatever seems to have gone wrong.
Mm.
We just, okay,
Yeah.
now what is this bringing me? And we take the
Yeah.
bounty of it and we really, really feed
Mm.
ourselves with that loving,
Mm.
joyful kindness, compassionate awareness that it's okay. It's okay. You know what? Living in the new earth, it doesn't mean that everything is perfect the way the mind thinks perfect is. It just means you're fully responsible for the way you're choosing to use your energy in terms of these big things, like I shared just now that, okay, so what do you choose for you? Conflict or cooperation? What do you choose for you? Peace or fight? What do you choose for you? So you make these choices, these big, big, big choices. And then everything happens within them, but it doesn't mean that there aren't things that seem to be that don't seem to be okay, right?
Mm.
The things happen, things happen.
Exactly. And I find that
You
too, that
choose where you
everybody
want to
is so
go.
kind. Exactly. You choose where you want to go, and everybody is so kind. Like you shared that constantly there is help, there is joy. And as I bring, like I have the same experiences, as I bring my joy, then other people reflect that and they actually are really surprised, and they go into that kind of really kind, joyful way of interacting, very free flowing, very easy. So everywhere you go, you get these joyful experiences, like the conflict is gone.
Yeah.
And with to do with this responsibility also, like I find one of the like when you mentioned before, how when people wander, before they really feel the soul, that is like it is one of those frustrating spaces to be, before
Mm.
you feel it and before you jump into it. And it has to do with all the trust and everything. But how do you facilitate that? And it has to do again with that responsibility, because it is, you follow your heart in
Yeah.
every day, you follow your heart. So you do things in like when you say, okay, but how do I know where my soul is guiding me? I can't hear my soul. So what you can how
You
you
can
feel.
feel.
So you know how you feel. So for example, let's say if you when you have a choice, you can take the time. When you have the fork in the road, take the time, sit back and feel into it. So when you feel each choice, for example, if you have two choices, if you have a number of different choices, you actually will then realize, wow, which one is actually making me feel happier, and which one is making me feel like, okay, this is another one of those things where where I feel like, oh, it's a drudgery, where I feel like, oh no, Monday's coming, or these kind of feelings. Then that is not what your soul is guiding you, is gently asking you here. That's not where it's wanting you to go. So follow your heart. But the following your heart does take courage, because it will ask you to do things differently than what you've been taught, what the society has taught you. It does require enormous amount of courage, because you don't see where the road is leading. Like, for example, if you keep doing the same thing over and over, even though you are totally bored to death with it, at least you know where that road is going to guide you, where that road is going to take you, because you've seen other people do it. But because, like at the beginning, when we talked about our each one of our uniqueness and this path not being taken before, that it's all unknown, and that is why it takes courage, because you don't know how, you don't know where. And the way this soul works, it doesn't reveal the whole path, it just reveals your feelings, these beautiful expanded feelings that go towards, let's say, this choice that you are making, but the rest of it is unknown. So it just reveals itself with step by step by step. And because it is the nature of you, the grander you, the who you really are, to be flowing, to be enjoying and reveling with change, it will require you to keep allowing yourself to learn new things, to do new things, to try new things, to utilize talents and abilities that you didn't even know you had, because you were just doing the same old thing that everyone else is doing, that the society is trying to make everyone the same. And now, in your uniqueness, you have to be open to try new things. You have to be open to flop. So you do develop, like Tanya mentioned, you do develop this ability to be joyful, to allow the humor, to be really okay when you make a mistake, because you realize there are no mistakes, to make a fool of yourself, because there isn't really anybody else that you're trying to impress anymore. You are trying to impress and follow your own heart, those promptings of your heart. And even if, like, some people say, oh, but how do I really know that it is my heart speaking? Do you feel good when you are doing it? Does the choice feel good? Do you feel good about when you're doing it? Do you wake up in the morning and you're excited about your day? So it's these kind of feelings that actually guide you. You see, people don't realize, this is what we're not actually taught within the mass consciousness, that it's all your good feelings. They're not there by accident. They are there for a reason. They are your guidance from your inner self as to what path to take, what step to take. And it's only revealed the next step and the next step and the next step. It's not the whole picture is revealed. What will later, when you are much more open and flowing and in a much kind of more knowingness with your own soul, you do get a feeling. So you kind of know what is going to happen, but not in a specific way, but just in a way that, let's say, if my theme, I keep choosing freedom, I know that whatever experiences I'm going to have freedom experiences. So, for example, if you're choosing the theme to be that feeling, that flavor of your choice, where your heart is guiding you, and I'm just simplifying this because when the heart is guiding you, when you're following your heart, and this is basically it. What we're doing now is following our heart, but we're just doing it without abandon. We're just doing it freely. We're just doing it with trust, because we've integrated things that we're saying no. We've let go. We've established the boundaries. We've been uncompromising in choosing joy, in choosing freedom, in choosing self-love. Because every day, especially when you're starting, for those of you that are starting, the mass consciousness will constantly try to rob you of joy, rob you of good feelings about yourself, because it profits from you feeling bad about yourself. So you just keep learning as you're stepping with your heart. You keep learning and you keep becoming stronger in this way, that you become even more uncompromising, because you start making choices that you see how much benefit you get, even though those choices, they include a lot of integration. They include a lot of looking at your own shadow, looking at all of those things that we're saying no, all of the blockages. basically integrating your shadow. So it is initially, especially, a road that is quite painful, that is quite challenging, and yet at the same time is so incredibly loving. It is so incredibly filled with wonder, with love, with this kind of delicious sensual feelings, nuances, choices, sensual experiences that are completely out of what used to be perceived or imagined by that part that was stuck in the box of mass consciousness. And so this responsibility, this is what it means, that you actually do those things that make you that then you can keep stepping into that choices that your heart is making, so that you let go. You may have to let go of people. You definitely will let go of the boring job, or it will incredibly change. You will definitely have to really become familiar with change. You will definitely have to become trusting in yourself, in your feelings, in what you're telling yourself, in what your feelings are telling. You will have to become familiar with being okay to hear your, what we call soul, which whatever name that you use, it's that continual communication, the knowingness. And very often, it, for humans, sometimes doesn't want to hear what the soul is saying, because it is not an easy path from a point of view that it's not habit forming. There are no habits. You can't develop habits except for that, the habit of taking responsibility for making those kind of choices, for taking those steps. But because your life becomes one of change. Your life becomes one of exploration, of trying different things, of letting go of things, of letting go of the emotions, of all sorts of things. And so this is what is meant by responsibility. You become incredibly responsible with which steps you're taking, with what you're choosing, with what you're listening, with which voices inside of you you're listening to. Even the responsibility to not listen to or fall for the voice of fear, the voice of putting yourself down, the voice of letting yourself, beating yourself up. These are definite choices. And it is also your responsibility to keep choosing self-love, to keep choosing allowing, even though perhaps you're not familiar yet what that allowing feels like. But if you keep following those gentle prompts, which are joyful, which are making your heart sing, which are making your heart skip a beat, that's your cue. Those are that's the voice of your soul. It's those feelings of joy, it's those feelings of excitement. That's how the soul speaks with you. And the more you listen to that, those little prompts, the more you act on it, the more you then become familiar and clear with what it is saying. And when I say it, they come on that road of the heart. There comes a point when you realize, of course, you have that realization, oh shit, I am my soul. There is no separation. So that's a whole, another story. There's so many experiences of that. But the responsibility, the more responsibility you take, and this responsibility is actually joy-giving. It's a gift. And so how in the old days, they said, oh, we get all these gifts from God. The responsibility is actually not a chore. It is a gift from God. It is a gift from your own self, from your own I am that I am to you. It can feel like a huge burden when you are in that little box, but when you are on your path of heart, it becomes joy. You keep allowing, you keep accepting that responsibility with joy, because it brings you so much freedom. It brings you self-love. It brings you all these incredible experiences that you couldn't, even in your wildest dreams, you couldn't imagine at times, and so this responsibility also then completely changes its meaning. So for me now, when you say, okay, wow, I take responsibility for this and this, and then it expands my awareness of how it is all my energy, of how I am that creator of my life, of how my radiance, thus create, of how all of these things come with your taking that responsibility in small ways, in big ways, in gigantic ways. And there's so much joy in walking this path that I can't express it. I mean, I do sing a lot, I dance a lot, I just wildly dance, I don't know, all sorts of things in this celebration, and in honor of me, that I have taken those steps, that I am continually taking those steps, that I am following my heart, and my heart has never betrayed me. It has never, even in this, like what I shared with COVID and what Tanya shared, it never betrays you. Even sometimes initially does feel like, wow, perhaps, there's some kind of blockage here or whatever. But when I stop and feel into it and allow that thing to form, to transform, to transmute, it always serves me. So my heart has never betrayed me. And your heart will never betray you. What very often you feel that it is your heart and you don't trust it. It wasn't your heart. If you really examine it, it was actually the voice of mass consciousness. It was the voice of the mind trying to imitate your heart. So become familiar with that heart of yours, and do little things. Like it's not that you have to in one day change your whole life. Like just keep doing the little things, like and you keep taking that responsibility that, okay, so today I'm going to just take the time to do something that is really joyful for me, whatever that is. It can be a really simple thing. For some people, it can even just be for, that joyful thing of taking 10 minutes for yourself, to not have to worry about someone else, to not have to look after someone else. So that is like a huge joy. And maybe perhaps listen to some music. It is using all the raw materials of your life. It is not like you have to go somewhere else and pick something. You have within you everything that you need. You have within you the ability to hear your heart, to feel your heart, and you have the responsibility to do so. It is a sacred responsibility given to you by I am that you do this. So accept it with gratitude. Use it. Use it every day in small ways and in big ways, because this is what it means. This responsibility is part of being God. This is that when people say, well, we are made in likeness of God, responsibility is part of that, because without it, you are not a creator, unless you do take this responsibility. So play with it. Allow it, embrace it, incorporate it in your daily life, and then reap the benefits, because then you will see it's like you're planting the seeds in your energy, and then the energy will bring you this incredible harvest that will surprise you, even you, in so many different ways. Because there comes a day and there comes a time into your life when you just step over some kind of threshold and all starts making sense, and you realize that, wow, I was never alone on that journey. My soul self, my great big self, who I really am, was always there with me, always guiding me, carrying me. It just felt at times as I was alone. So even if you don't feel that presence, or you feel it intermittently, no, trust with your heart in this way, and just keep following your joy. Follow the joy. It will always bring you to yourself. The joy will. not the mind, not the lists, not something that you hear, advertising on TV say that will not bring you joy. So keep following those incredible, but gentle and quiet and peaceful prompts of your heart, and be amazed by what you find and what you experience and where it guides you and leads you.
I usually share this very simple exercise for people to use when they are faced with having to make a choice, and it can be between two things, three things, four things, it doesn't matter. So it just goes like this. You just take a few breaths and come into a space of silence within to the best of your capacity. So you just calm down, come into that space within you where it is quiet, and then so you call upon one of the choices. So, okay, this. And then you do nothing. You just breathe and you feel what that choice feels like in your body. The main key is your heart, how it feels in your heart. And then, of course, the rest of your body will also have some reactions. So you feel that, but without trying to define it, it's just really a very physical sense, really physically, what it feels like in your body. And you let yourself be with that. You allow that feeling to expand so that you can get clearly how it feels. And then after a while, you let it go. You say, okay, that's done. You breathe a little bit more. Just come into a neutral space, breathing, and then you call upon the other thing. And then again, you just let it sort of shower into you. So you shower, you let it, the energy of that other choice, you just let it be there. You feel your body, feel your heart, what it feels like physically. Again, I repeat, I'm not talking about making sense. I'm not talking about trying to understand anything. I'm just talking about feeling. So you do that, you stay with it, you feel, you let it bloom, you let the feeling bloom, and then you let it go. Again, you come into neutral, and if you have more things to feel into, you do it until you're finished. The one thing that felt absolutely peaceful, that is seamless, would be the right word. The one thing that is seamless. And then sometimes it brings up joy, sometimes it doesn't, it depends. But just as long as it is peaceful in your heart, be it joyful or any other then blooming feeling that also accompanies that it's your heart feels like a still lake. Okay, so the one feeling, that thing that provides you that feeling, is the way to go. Now let's imagine that all of them provide you that feeling. Then just choose one of them. If you have to make a choice, then just choose one of them. It's irrelevant. Whichever one you choose will be a choice from the heart. So your heart has brought you several options. Because you see, sometimes it's not just limited to one possibility, to one option. Sometimes there are several options, and none of them will lead you away from your heart. Then again, if all of them have brought you unrest, anxious, anxiety, whatever, nervousness, turmoil of any kind, drop them all. None of them are the path to be taken right now. And then you might say, oh my God, but I do have to choose one of them. No, you don't. You are the creator. Take responsibility for not choosing any of them. Once you allow yourself to not be afraid that you're not choosing any of those options, to not be afraid that then you won't have another opportunity because you've not chosen any of them, rest assured that you will see clearly what the path is. Your heart will show you, but none of those is coming from your heart. So know that your heart will always bring you the bountiful option or options. All of them might be bountiful. So this exercise, sometimes people have a little bit of trouble doing it initially because the mind kicks in very fast. So if that happens, what your first feeling, the first thing when you said, okay, let's feel this, the first thing you felt is what counts. Okay, so if you find that your mind tends to get a little bit noisy and interfering with this, and then you start getting confused, and then you don't know if it's this or that, the first thing you felt is your guidance. Just go with that. And then sometimes, many times, what your heart is inviting is not what you thought should be the choice, right? Okay, doesn't matter. Go that way, because the only way to realize that your heart will always lead you on the best possible path is by taking it. Taking it over and over again. Just go. Don't think.
Just go.
There you are. And then you will see, oh, wow, that's it. This is what happened. Wow. And then again, comes again, and you sort of think, because that one should be the good one. But no, you felt clearly that the other one was it. Go. Don't think at all. Don't try and figure it out. That's when you will really, really start unfolding into trust. Because the more you take it, that path that brings you that serene peace, that all is well. You see, that's that kind of feeling. The more you do it, the more you realize that is it. So, for instance, I'll give you, today I'm about giving silly examples. 2 days ago, I was going to buy a ticket for my son to meet me halfway. We're going to the beach. And I went to the website and I looked at the options, and I just felt I'm not going to buy a ticket at all. I'm going to pick him up. I just decided. But the logical option would have been getting the ticket for this and that. And then yesterday I discovered that actually he's going to have to do some interviews at different schools, etc. So if I had bought the ticket, it would not be valid, and I would have to pick him up anyway. Right. So it's these simple, it's such simple things. And I had no idea. But at the moment I opened the website and looked at the options, and they were good options, but I just felt, nah, I'm not going to buy the ticket. I have no idea why. I just know I'm not going to do it. And over again, these very simple things. You follow your intuition, which is your heart. Follow it all the time. It doesn't matter whether it makes sense. Most of the time it doesn't. Most of the time it makes no sense at all. But you follow it anyway, and then you will know why. But you just follow it. And that's it. It's that simple.
And it is simple because it's all based on experience, isn't it?
Yes.
Because once you start, and even if you did, because if you start with that intent, even if you did miss, perhaps you can't hear it, perhaps you're not sure, and have I really felt it or not?
Yeah.
Because it's your choice that you do, and you just keep getting better and better. It's just like, as when you were a child and you were learning to walk, you just keep walking. I mean, did you know how you will walk? Did you know that one day you will be a grown-up and you can perhaps run even in a marathon? No, you just had this feeling, and you had the trust, and you fell many times, but you just kept on trying, and then you walked. And it's the same. It really is the same. Everything is just so simple, really. That's the thing. Like, when I look back, everything is just so simple and just so there. And I was just complicating in my mind,
Yeah.
and it does, like, initially, especially, following the heart can invoke fear. So don't mistake the fear of that path that the heart
Mm.
doesn't want you to take, which will also include a lot of fear.
Yeah.
But this path also includes fear because you haven't built up your trust. You haven't allowed that trust to develop. You've never experienced before, and there's all of these kind of things and issues. And so learn. What happens is, as you become innerly quiet, through all of these integrations, you become innerly very peaceful and quiet. So there's like this incredible silence inside.
Yeah.
And within that silence, there is this beautiful song. And in that silence, you really learn, you then start to differentiate everything. So you differentiate, okay, so this fear, that's what it means. That fear, that's what it means. This feeling as that, because there are so many nuances, there are so many flavors, there are so many tastes, and in that peace, that because you've let go of those battles, you have that inner peace inside that you can then hear and listen and understand all of these different notes. It's like when you're playing music, how let's say, I don't know if you've ever, for some of you, the instruments, and for some don't, but let's say if you listen to a song and it's like this beautiful harmony and melody, but if you play an instrument, perhaps, let's say you play guitar, then your ear learns how to discern the sound of the guitar, or the different sounds of two guitars and electric. You hear all of those different layers of tones and rhythms that make up all this beautiful song. And it's very similar to your inner world, you see. And this is that very, very basic reason as to why you are here, is to and not only, it's a joy and a responsibility to find out, to learn to listen to yourself, to learn to hear yourself, to learn about your inner processes, or your inner world. Because really, this whole, once you commit to this reincarnation cycle, you are pretty much in it until you learn the inner world, and then you work your way out and you stop. You can't just say, well, I don't like this physical world, and I don't like this reincarnation cycle, and I'll just say no, because once you're in it, you're committed. And the way to get out is you learn how you are the creator. And once you take the responsibility for all of these processes, how you create your reality, how you create these things, then you become a master of this physical reality, a master of your inner world. And then you can then make choices. Then you can really make a choice. Well, this is my last lifetime. But then it does require that you do those things that are necessary for that to be your last lifetime. Because it's kind of like, let's say, if you are in the water swimming, and if you say, oh, I'd rather be on the shore, I've had enough of swimming, I want to be on the shore. Well, you have to swim to the shore. You have to then walk onto the shore, and then you're on the shore. So it's very simple. But when you're in it, and especially when you're caught, people, when they're caught in the pain and being a victim and the suffering, it's not possible to hear your inner guidance from yourself. This is, of course, we have all these non-physical friends and physical friends to help and whatever, but this I'm talking about the inner guidance that comes from you. So that we're talking about is you, and I am that I am is you. You are part of all of it. But unless you actually experience it and feel what that actually means, you are stuck in this reincarnation cycle. You're stuck in the victimhood. So that is why, like, take heart. So when you feel perhaps discouraged or whatever's happening in the world, that is not your story anymore. That is not, the world is not your responsibility anymore. In the same old sense that you would have to go into the story and battle it. It is your responsibility to be that standard of freedom, of inner peace, of self-love, of how you really free yourself from suffering, from bondage. You see, because the people are so much, all of these battles are so much about freedom. And that's always, because it's like you want to be free from someone imposing their will, from someone imposing whatever onto you, whether that's individuals or rich people or billionaires or government agencies or whoever. That's what it seems like. But so you feel like, okay, when you're caught into that story, you want to battle, but that's not where you find that freedom. So it's your responsibility to be a standard of the real freedom, what it really means. And what it really means also keeps developing, because, it hasn't been done before. So we keep experiencing it. We keep experimenting with it. We keep trying this and that. And we keep sharing like this with each other and learn from each other. And one says, oh, this has worked. It's like, okay, I might try this, as well, and see how it works and own it. And then as soon as you own it, it becomes flavored with your flavor. So again, it's a little bit different than the other person's, you see. So it is just this incredible journey when you can feel that greater picture from your soul self, from your I am that I am, because then you start really tasting that incredible freedom of being able to let go of things, of being able to stop identifying with certain things, or choosing different identities, different feelings, different experiences. There is just an incredible freedom as you're allowing this greater part of you to be within your awareness, to like that iceberg on the ocean. It's really all very, very simple. Like you are this ice, like that iceberg, that's and you're conscious just of this little thing. So this integration is just simply you become conscious of your whole iceberg, and that's all it really is. And then once you are, and so the soul is in that initially in that shadow self under the ocean, in that part of the iceberg, your soul self, your divinity, your things you don't want about yourself, things you're afraid to admit about yourself, because maybe you're incredibly talented, you are incredibly good at, there's lots of things hidden there. So this whole integration and clearing process really is just becoming aware of your whole self, whatever was under the ocean, whatever's above the ocean. And then the fun really starts, because then the whole universe is at your disposal, the new earth, the non-physical friends, the other dimensions, you name it. You live in so many different spheres. But it does, of course, it has required of you to become aware of your feelings, to become aware of your inner senses with which you then perceive those other worlds. Because unless you take responsibility for those senses and you make them aware, you allow them to come into your awareness, you will never see our non-physical friends. You will never be able to perceive. I mean, people can just talk about all these multi-dimensions and blah, blah, blah. And yes, for you, it is a theory. It is a fantasy, because unless you allow and take that responsibility and allow those abilities which are inherent in you, they are your natural birthright, they are part of you, but you need to take ownership, and you need to do the work that is required so that you can hear your heart, so that you can feel your heart, so that you can perceive how your inner communication between you and you really works, so that you can allow that trust in self, that you can allow the self-love, that you can allow all these incredible things to be your new earth, to be your new life, to be your new way of being. And then, as I said, everything is open to you. And then life really becomes this incredible adventure of freedom, of sovereignty, of uniqueness, of just playfulness. Yes, I would invite each and every one of you, take that responsibility, take those steps, follow your heart, follow the prompts, follow the scent of your heart. I think we kind of have we come to the end, haven't we?
Nothing to add. Yeah. Totally.
It was another beautiful episode. And Tanya and I would like to invite you just to keep checking out all the information that we're going to put out for our next episode, and we'll post the details. And we would also like to again welcome Geoffrey Hoppe and Linda Hoppe to be our special guests in our next show, and we are very, very happy to welcome you to this space.
Thank you very much, everyone who has been here playing with us. And believe it or not, your presence is very, very felt. We really, really feel it. And it provides such a beautiful space for us to be sharing here like this. It's so valuable. Thank you very, very much to each and every one of you who is here live, but also to those who will tune in at a later date, because there is really no time and space boundary. So this huge, safe, joyful space, it has been created for this to happen. And you are definitely a very big part of it. So thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Until next time.
See you.